Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singers, songwriters, and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest is a Toronto based musician who has made herself known as a versatile session musician, teacher, producer, and original artist. On top of owning her own private teaching business in the heart of downtown TO, she's been releasing jazz and R&B infused indie pop music since 2012 and performing in bands across southern Ontario. So, let's spill the tea with Emma Hewson. Welcome, Emma.
Thank you.
You have quite a resume there. First thing I want to talk about is the process that the song that we're going to feature today came from. The song is Water Fight, and it came from I believe, if I remember correctly, it was a song a day
A song a
process
month. A
or
song a
song a
day would be a
month.
bit
A
too
song, a
ambitious.
song a day. I've heard that like some have gone through a song a day, song a week, song a month.
Yes.
I wrote one song in my lifetime when I was in my teens, and I've never been able to write another one.
It's
So
hard.
a great admiration to singer-songwriters, and especially ones that embark on these what I consider to be superhuman tasks as far as the music business goes. So
Oh
tell
my.
us how that process works. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself to write a song a month, especially when, you're doing other things. You're teaching, you're performing, you're doing other stuff. So how does that process work? How do you engage yourself to produce a song a month?
Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah, so in 2020, I was teaching from home. I was single. My family wasn't in the city, so I was just very alone, like a lot of people can relate to. And a friend I had who was a musician colleague invited me into this song a month group that he'd been doing for like 2 years. And I just jumped at the chance because I wanted to improve my producing abilities and I also wanted a community. And it's been wild. It's still going. We still do one every month. We meet either online or at somebody's house, and we have like a little theme. I think the theme for the month of Water Fight was water, or it could have been samples. I can't
Mhm.
remember, but I did put a lot of water samples in that song. Um, and honestly, it's just been like one of the best things of my life because just to have a group of people who come together only to create art, only to support each other, they become some of my best friends. And it's such a good way to write songs because you can get so like existentially like burnt out of creating. But if you have a group that you know is going to listen to your song, they're going to be excited, it just makes it so much easier to motivate yourself.
And
So
and there's no judging,
there's no judging. I mean, there are some songwriter groups that they go in and critique each other, but
right?
in this particular group, we pretty much just are cheerleaders and hype each other up. And yeah, it's really nice.
There is that part of you as a professional musician when you come out of that, say, we're like, is it really good, or were all my friends just being nice to me?
100%. Yeah, I mean, I do also like check in with mentors on the actual songs I want to release and get a little more feedback critically. But at the end of the day, I don't know. It's like in order to be an artist, you really do need to bolster your self-confidence. I mean, no one in this group is a narcissist, right? So we all do have like like fragile egos and need that reinforcement.
Uh, how many songs have been produced through this process that you have
Of
written and
mine.
taken to the group?
Well, I've been in it for about 5 years, and we've done it like monthly or bi-monthly, depending on what was going on in the world at the time. So I would say, I don't know, maybe like at least 35 songs. Because, you know, you don't always get one done every month, things happen. But yeah, all of the songs that I've released in the last 5 years have been because I wrote them in that club.
I,
So
I was going to say, I'm doing my math in my head. 5 times 12 is 60. 35 songs out of 60 months.
yeah, I mean, I'm a human. I don't always get it done. Why are you calling me out like this?
Well, as I said off the top, Emma,
Yeah.
I'm in awe of anyone who can write songs and never mind whether you're just doing the lyrics or you're just doing the melody. And for those that put the two of those together,
Yes.
I stand in great admiration. Even if
Oh,
you were doing one a year, I would stand in great admiration. So believe me, I am not throwing shade on.
no. But no, I teach songwriting in some of my classes, and most people can't really get past because you have an idea, but then you have to flesh it out, and then you have to make sure the intro matches the verses, and you have to make sure all of it is cohesive, and then you have to record it or write it down some. It's like not just this burst of passion and then you're done a song. It's a burst of passion and then like a meticulous process. So it's funny because yeah, people a lot of times think art is just like you're bursting with passion and that's it, but it requires so much discipline.
Well,
Um,
I've heard of artists will say to me that some of the greatest songs that they've written, it came to them in a dream, or they were out for a walk and they
yeah,
wrote those songs in 30 minutes. And I think for the uninitiated would think,
yes,
oh well, so 30 minutes you got a song and it goes. No, it's 30 minutes. Then, then we have to do the instrumentation. Then we
yes.
might have to write some other pieces for it. And then we have to practice. And then like it goes on and on and on. That 30 minutes, as you say, that 30 minutes of inspiration
Yeah.
and passion might take several months before it's actually mastered and ready to go.
It's so true. And like oftentimes behind that 30 minutes is 100 songs that took, a week each. So it's like not just coming to your brain from some divine source. It's like you've put in the work to get to that 30 minutes.
I remember the story from Joe Walsh, who played with the Eagles, and he was talking about the song that he wrote, which is, Life's Been Good to Me.
Mm,
And he was going through the process. He said, well, I had this opening riff from this song I was working on, and then I had this, chord progression from this song I was
yes.
working on. Does that happen with you as well? Where you mentioned that like there's a lot of things that are going on in the background.
Yeah.
So does that happen with you where, I got a little bit from this song, a little bit from that, a little bit from here, and I put it all together?
For me, it does happen like that unconsciously. It's like, learning a language. Like I am speaking to you now as an amalgamation of all the conversations I've had in my life before. But when I'm writing a song, I don't really mix songs. But there's a lot of songwriters in my songwriting club that they'll do that. They'll take an old idea and put new lyrics on it or something.
Mhm.
My brain doesn't really work that way. I like to kind of be fresh every time I'm writing a song, but of course it comes from all my experience and all of the songs I've ever listened to and all of the songs I've ever played. So, in a way, everything is an amalgamation.
We hear of some situations where a singer-songwriter will write a song, and I think I was listening to an interview with it might have been Ed Sheeran, or an artist from his era,
Mhm.
and they get sued
Yes,
because their song sounds like some other song, like
yes.
the Beatles, "My Sweet Lord." Well, it
Hmm.
sounded like I'm going to I say I think it was a Supreme song, or it was Some Fine Day, and
Yeah.
I've got the band wrong. I know it, but and and but he was saying that, well, our experiences, like we hear those chord progressions, and even some songwriters will come out and say, yeah, I stole this from Beethoven,
Yeah.
and I flipped the chord, I flipped the chords upside down, and that's how
Mhm.
I came up with my song. So in your opinion, is it fair that when we have all these experiences and they influence our music, is it fair that a musician from the past comes along and says, "Hey, you stole my song"?
What that's such an interesting question that I definitely will not be able to like get all the corners of, but I think there definitely is a place for like lawsuits in music. I mean, especially if there's a power dynamic, right? Like if
Mm,
Lady Gaga puts out a song called Water Fight that sounds like my song, I mean, you
yes,
know, I should sue her. But I think most of the time that stuff happens like not in a malicious way.
right.
Um, but it's so funny because I do teach younger students who write songs. And I remember when I was writing songs, and you really just like take what you know and you put it into a song. And it's really funny because a lot of these like 7 or 8 year olds who write songs will be singing about how their heart is broken and how they're like devastated and how their man walked out on them. And it's like, you're 8, but they're just doing what they've heard, right? So, I mean, I don't think it's the 8 year old's fault. They're not trying to plagiarize. It's just we're
Uh,
all, a combo of what we've heard before.
yeah, I had this idea for a country song. It says, "I miss you already, and you're not even gone."
There you
There,
go.
pass it along to your 7-year-old so they can
Oh no.
they can write a whole song about
Whoa, anticipate grief. Wow, it's deep.
when it comes to the songwriting, and
Yeah.
and I've had various opinions on AI and artificial intelligence
Mm,
in music. Some artists say, you know what, to flesh out some lyrics, it might be okay. It's another piece of technology. It's a tool in the bag. Other artists feel absolutely not. It takes away from the creative process. I don't agree with it at all. Where do you stand on AI in music?
that's a great question. Um, I feel like I'm a little bit undecided yet because I feel like in general when there's a new technology in society, there's like a huge population that is very anti new technology, and then it ends up being really great, like the printing press or I don't know,
Mm.
computers. But at the same time, technology is getting more and more powerful. So there are AI songs that are written completely in AI that are
Yep.
taking people's jobs away. So I feel like I'm undecided, but for me personally, um, I do like to use tools to write. Like I will look up a thesaurus and find synonyms for words. That's me using a tool for songwriting. Usually my process with lyrics is I'll take my topic and then I'll write a stream of consciousness poem, and then I'll go back in the poem, like a really long one, and then I'll go back in the poem and see what phrases are standing out to me or what I want to flesh out a little more. And then I didn't do this when I was younger and just kind of writing about my troubles, but now I really think about what do I want the lyrics to come across as? Do I want to just, have a self-pitying song that's like really depressing, or do I want to have a message here? Or I really try to think about what am I conveying. Um, Maybe AI could help me with that. I'm not sure. We'll see in 10 years how I feel.
You have a, thriving teaching business as well.
Yeah.
Many artists will say, gee whiz, it's really hard to
Yeah.
make a living in business. And other artists will say, well, maybe you got to diversify, say yes to everything.
Mhm.
So if you really, get to know your instrument so well that you can be a session musician, where
Yeah.
session musicians can make some decent money, if they get into the right stream. Um, how do you feel about that? And then some other artists have said, no, I got to focus on singing, songwriting, performing. That's what I was put on this earth to
Yeah.
do. Where
Yeah.
do you stand on that? Or you might be a little biased because you are a great session musician plus a teacher as well.
Well, that is so interesting. Especially in my 20s, I would compare myself to other musicians around me and think, okay, why am I not practicing as much as them? I'm not going to the same number of jams, open mics. Like I'm not performing because you really do need to network a lot and get yourself out there in this industry if you want to make a living on performing. But then I grew a little bit older and wiser and found out that a lot of those people were financed by their parents.
Mm.
So I couldn't go to as many jams because I always had to have a part-time job, which was usually teaching and some kind of serving. Um, and so, yeah, so now I think if you have the money to be 100% focused on performing and you get lucky, you can do it. But most people in the industry will have to diversify. Luckily, I found a way to diversify that I like and is also still in the music industry with my teaching. Um, but yeah, I wish I could go back and tell myself that like a lot of the people that you're comparing yourself to, like they have a lot more privileges than you know?
Well, you are professionally trained on the keyboard, which allows you to be able to do those things. It allows you to be able to teach. I mean, some people do, they still teach some basics, even though maybe they've only had grade 3 or 4 themselves, but they
Yeah.
teach some basics. You are much more advanced than that. Plus, it also affords you the opportunities to do that session work when, yeah, you can't dabble in an instrument and be a session player. It just doesn't work like that. You are in your 30s somewhere.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
what does success look like for you? It
Yeah.
sounds like you've got a pretty good handle on what you want to do and what you want to be. But when it comes to singing, songwriting, and performing, what does success look like for you?
Yeah, I these are such great questions. Thank you for letting me talk about my art. This is so cool. Well, yeah, I my main thought is that there's a huge difference between a starving artist and Taylor Swift. There's like a big gradient of people who are living, working, making music, and that's their full-time thing. And they're not super famous, but they're not in abject poverty. And I'm already there. So in a lot of ways, I feel like I've already gotten success, but I would definitely love to continue producing, perform more, get opportunities with more creative people, meet more creative people. I'd also like to try some other things like, I love doing skits, like comedy skits with music. So I'd love to be, involved in more of that. I'd love to maybe perform in Nuit Blanche or other like really cool events in the city. So for me, it's just like becoming more creative and getting more opportunities that are novel and can expand my artistry.
I think the interesting thing, and it's a double-edged sword with being an artist, is there's you can always do something else. So
Exactly.
you hit that one goal. So you have a goal of 1 million streams,
Yeah.
and you hit 1 million. Well, now you can hit 2 million. Now you can hit 3 million. You can do a national tour. Well, now I can do a world tour. Now I can
Yeah,
do 2 world tours. As the
exactly.
Eagles, I think the Eagles are on their like seventh final tour.
Yeah, there you go.
I
Yes.
think there's a couple of other bands from
Elton
the
John. Yeah.
70s and 80s that are
Yeah, who
on their
else?
final tour. They said, no, this is it. This is it.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
think with an artist, how do you feel about that? That's double-edged sword. There's always something else you can do. Is that a
Yeah.
good thing or is that a stressful thing?
Um, well, I think that is like the essence of being human. So just like on a human level, I try to just be present with where I am and grateful for where I am. And, any day could be your last day on earth. So you want to be
Mm.
like satisfied and complete with what you're doing. But yeah, I feel like sometimes when I talk to people that aren't entrepreneurs, they do feel this stress less. Because for me, every day I wake up and I could be trying to grow my business. I could be trying to go to more shows. I could try to be playing more. I could try to, whereas people who have kind of a 9 to 5 and are doing that as their life, I think they do feel a little bit less existential. Like, what am I doing? Um, but I think going to therapy is helpful. I think making friends who are also in the creative industry who can ground you a little bit. Like if I was doing this without any friends in this industry, I think I'd be a lot more unstable, you know?
a few more therapeutic drugs in your
Yes.
life to help calm you down.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you point out that artists they really are entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
and every day they wake up and their whole income stream can be well, in COVID. We take COVID. I mean, all of a sudden
exactly.
you wake up and all right, I can't perform, I can't teach.
Yep.
So what am I going to do as opposed to someone that has that 9 to 5
Mhm.
secure, paycheck coming in, whether they're
Yeah.
going to work or not. So
Yeah.
it is very entrepreneurial, and it takes a special kind of person with resilience to wake up every day and say, well, where's where's lunch coming from today? Where's the rent money coming from today? Who knows? Well, let's get into one of the songs that Emma wrote. This song was written in 2023 as part of a Song a Month music production club. Emma challenged herself to write a song that included multiple samples and was inspired by the Scissor Sisters in terms of production and lyric style. Let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Emma Hewson and her song,
It's a water
Water
fight.
Fight.
Fill your balloons. Prepare your team. You're gonna lose. It's a water fight. Fill your balloons. Prepare your team. You're gonna lose. Look at these legs, they're made for dancing. Muscle so fat, I get my gains in. Give me your water with electrolytes. Splash, splash, baby, I'd win that fight. Look at these arms, they're made for squeezing. Stare too hard, your face is freezing. Crush that ice, put it in my glass. All there's left to do is dance. Crush that ice, put it in my glass. Crush that ice, put it in my glass. All there's left to do is dance. All there's left to do is dance. Crush that ice, put it in my glass. All there's left to do is dance. Squeeze, roll, explode. Your face took the load. Neon, plastic, soak. That's the way it goes. Squeeze, roll, explode. It's a water fight. Your face took the load. It's a water fight. Neon, plastic, soak. It's a water fight. That's the way it goes. It's a water fight. Fill your balloons. Prepare your team. You're gonna lose. It's a water fight. It's a water fight.
That was Water Fight by Emma Hewson. Emma, tell us, what was that song about and what was the inspiration to write it?
Yeah, so this song definitely started as like a production challenge for myself because I don't often write with samples and I really wanted to try that. So I had a lot of fun finding different watery samples that I could put in the song. And when I started writing the lyrics, I just was feeling in such a sassy mood and just like I wanted to have fun and I just wanted to be silly and goofy. And so the lyrics I hope just are representative of that feeling.
Emma, how do people find out more about you? What is the website, the socials, and the streaming platforms?
Yeah, so I would say I'm most active on Instagram. So it's emma.louise.hewson. But I also am on TikTok, Emma Hewson, and I have my own website, emmahewson.com. And you can find my teaching business at fawns.com/@emmahewson.
We have been in conversation with Emma Hewson. Emma, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Prepare your team.